was in deep thought about when I first developed faith, and I was 16, and I was in the juvenile detention center facing some pretty serious crimes. The main one was premeditated murder. They were wanting to certify me as an adult and send me to the adult criminal system. So the story is this. I go into juvenile at 16. I'm 113 pounds when I get in there. I'm in there for possession of marijuana with the intent to sell, possession of a deadly weapon, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and premeditated first degree murder. These were the charges I was facing. I was a perfect candidate for the adult system. When I went in there, I was scared to death, and I'd created this lie, and I told this lie over and over to myself and to anybody that would listen to me. I even wrote it down, and I memorized it, and I believed it so much that I would cry when I told it. I really, really believed my own lie. And I would go to detention hearings every 10 days in juvenile. You go see the judge to determine if you're going to be released or not. And every 10 days they would tell me the same thing, that I was a danger to society, obviously because of what I was being charged for. And so I would remain in juvenile. As I read the Bible, the scripture where Jesus said that the truth would set us free, that scripture scared me because I'd been lying the whole time and there was no way that I could tell the truth. I mean, I was a perfect candidate to go to adult prison with my record, right? What they saw on paper. So to tell the truth that I did all that, that was scary. There was no way I could do that. So I continued to lie. Well, after a while, after several court dates that wasn't being released, I remember praying and telling God, that scripture that says that the truth would set me free, if that's true, then I'm going to tell the truth. And I'm going to have faith in you that it's going to set me free because it says here it will. And I've tried everything else. I've lied. I have lied and lied and lied and cried because I believe my lies. And that's not working. And I said, I'm going to tell the truth. And this was at night. And I went to bed that night. And I woke up to a loud banging on my door telling me to get up because my attorney was here to see me. And I said, I don't have an attorney. And they said, well, you do now, so get dressed. So I get dressed and I go down to this room. And there's these two young men in there. And George is one of them. And George, and they're dressed up sharp, man. They got up. They look like they've already worked out. They showered. They're in suits. They're clean. They're energetic. They look professional, man. They look sharp. And so George tells me that he had graduated from SMU, but while he was at SMU, he would do these juvenile cases for practice, right? And then after he graduated, he moved to Chicago, from Dallas to Chicago. Well, he got a call from the judge telling him there's this kid over here in Dallas in juvenile that's in a lot of trouble and he needs some really good help. And he asked George if George would come to Dallas to represent me because I needed a lot of help. And George agreed because this judge had been George's mentor for years, and so the judge was asking him a favor, so George was gonna, do the favor he was asking, right? So George comes down here to Dallas. This is how I met him right there in that room. And he tells me this story about the judge, and so he says, okay, look, he goes, do you mind if I record you? And he has a cassette recorder. And I said, man, I don't feel good about that. And he said, no, it's okay. We don't have to record it. So I start to tell him the whole lie. The entire lie that I've been lying about this whole time. I start to tell him that. I tell the whole lie. I go through the whole emotions about the lie, and him and his partner, they're getting all hyped up, with my lie. And when we're done, George says, we're gonna get you out of here. We're gonna go out right now. We're gonna chase down all these leads. And so they leave, and I went back to my cell, and I felt miserable. I felt absolutely miserable. I dropped to my knees and I cried out to God, and I told God I was sorry for just lying to these men. I said, you sent me the help I asked you for, and I just lied again. I said, God, forgive me. It's just that I'm so scared. You don't know how hard it is for me to tell the truth. I said, if you give me one more chance, I will tell the truth. And that day went by, and I felt miserable. That night, about, I'm going to say 10:30, 11 o'clock, somewhere down there, I get a knock on my door, and they're telling me to get up. My attorney's here to see me. And my first thought is, all right, they chased down all the leads I gave them, and they found the truth, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? That they found truth in my lie. That's what I was thinking. So I go out there, they take me to that room, and there's George. She's by himself. He don't look so sharp right now, man. He doesn't have on a coat. He doesn't have on a tie. He's got these two buttons here, like buttoned down. His hair is all messed up. He looks like he's just been street fighting or something. And he is pissed. And I walk in there, and he gave me some choice words. He started yelling at me and telling me how I lied to him. I sent him on a wild goose chase, and that he was only here as a favor to the judge, and that if I did not want his help, that he was going to get on a plane and fly right back home to Chicago. And he said, either you start telling me the truth right now, and he grabbed his recorder and he goes, and I'm going to record it, or I'm going home. And I was like, okay, I'll tell you the truth. So we sit down, he hits play on that recorder, and I tell him the whole truth. The whole truth. And he'd ask me questions, and I just tell him the truth. And I just kept telling him the truth. And when we got done, he hit stop on that recorder, and he looked at me and he goes, we have a case. I'm getting you out of here. And I was like, oh wow. That was serious. This guy said he's getting me out of here. Wow. So he goes home, I guess, and I go back to my cell. And in my cell, I pray, and I just thank God for giving me another chance. And I go to sleep, and I wake up to that loud banging on my door again, saying, get up, your attorney's here. And I'm thinking, oh no, what did I tell him wrong? He's going to rip me apart again. I'm like, oh crap. And I'm thinking in my head, what did I lie about? But I didn't lie about anything. So then I go in there, and there he is, looking all sharp again. He's got a smile on his face. And they give me some civilian clothing, and they tell me to go change. And I go change, and George says, hey, Judge gave me permission to take you out so we can work on your case. And I was like, all right, man, I've been a juvenile for going on 2 months now. I have not seen daylight in 2 months, right? So he takes me out of there, and he takes me to a restaurant. We eat some really good food, and he takes me to go visit my family and my friends, and we go to the law office, and he shows me all these newspaper clippings on the wall with his picture on them of all these cases that he'd won while he was here, and showed me these huge libraries of law books, and explained things to me, about the judicial system. And he did this every day, Monday through Friday. He took me out of that juvenile every day, and we worked on my case at his office. And he would take me to really good restaurants to eat, because in juvenile we didn't have good food. And we developed this relationship, and George would just tell me, man, you just don't belong in there. You do not fit that. He goes, you had, something bad happened to you. He goes, we're going to get you out of here. And he had this faith, and I had this faith because I told the truth, and God said that if you tell the truth, it would set me free, right? And that was my faith. And when that big court date came to determine if I was going to be certified as an adult or if I was going to remain in the juvenile detention center, that date came, and I'll never forget being, I was handcuffed and shackled, and I was being escorted through downtown Dallas by two sheriffs, and they're taking me through that courtroom, and all the different faces people made on the streets and in the courthouse as they're taking me in there, and I could just hear people's thoughts, wondering what I did to be shackled and cuffed. I'm such a small guy, and they take me in front of that judge, and I stand before that judge, and I will never forget this day in my life. But that judge, he grabbed his glasses and he put them down to the end of his nose, and he pointed his finger right in my face, and he said, "Your attorney and that DA have struck up a plea deal. I suggest you take it. Do you understand me?" And I just said, "Yes, sir." And I went and stood over there, and I waited. And then that judge said, "The DA says that if you..." I'm sorry, he said it like this. He said the DA says that they will drop the possession of marijuana with intent to sell charge. They will drop the possession of deadly weapon charge. They will drop the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge. And they will drop the first degree premeditated murder charge down to third degree involuntary manslaughter if you agree to serve 4 months in the Texas Youth Commission, and when you turn 18 years old, your record will be wiped clean, and this will no longer be on your record. Do you agree?" And I can't tell you, I felt like my spirit was dancing over that entire courthouse, just screaming in joy. And I knew there was a God. And that's that I knew I had faith.